Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of A to Z of Videography, and today we are talking about focus. Yeah, that was so clever, wasn't it? I'm so cool. Yeah, see what I did there? Woohoo! Now, focusing is a very important part of any kind of videographer or video creation process. Now, it is actually the different compartments within the lens that allows you to sharpen an image to your specification. However, please bear in mind that different lenses are capable of doing different things. Now, if you want to do really close-up images, then one lens may not be able to focus something that is so close to the camera than other lenses could. So make sure you kind of understand what the settings are for a lens and what you actually want to then achieve out of the focal point, as it were. So we chatted a little bit about focus when we spoke about depth of field, which is under the letter D of A to Z of Videography, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, it's really important to get the focus right on your videos, because if you distract the viewer's attention by not focusing correctly, then it could ruin the whole kind of feeling and tone of the video. So making sure that your subject is in focus is so important. And if you actually want to suddenly divert their attention to something else, you would then potentially focus onto something else, obviously. Now, the idea of focus is the fact that you focus the user's attention onto that other thing, and that's why it's so important. So I want to give a few tips on focusing and focusing with your camera and different things like that, because it can be difficult to focus and get it all right on the first time. So the biggest first tip that I can give you is, if you're using autofocus, make sure the specifications on your camera can autofocus with you. Now, you have different types of autofocus, but if you're doing moving images, as in you've got a subject moving a lot in the frame, then autofocus is handy. However, it may not be brilliant. I know that the autofocus on my cameras aren't as strong as autofocus on a Sony, for example. Different cameras have different specifications, so you kind of want to look into that if you're thinking about using the autofocus function. Now, one thing that is really great to understand is know where your focal points are. So if you use a focus puller, for example, you can then put markers on where you need to focus, especially if you're doing a rack focus, which is when one image is being focused on and then another subject is being focused on afterwards. So then you've got your focal point, so it makes it a lot easier to change the focus as you're rolling with your video. Another thing, if you're doing a statutory shot, make sure you focus, recompose, then focus again. Always double check the focus, and it's so important because, like I said, otherwise you'll lose the audience and they're not being focused on. Another really important aspect of a camera is you have these little blue lines that actually show up around you and shows what is in focus and what isn't, which will then really help for you as a camera operator or person being a camera operator to understand what is in focus. Now, if you don't know where those blue lines are or you can't seem to find them, then you'll just have to go through your camera settings to find out where they are. Unfortunately, mobile phone users, you won't have that setting in there unless somehow they have miraculously come up with the focus lines in new phones, which I haven't seen yet so far, but maybe they have. But it's highly unlikely, so it's a camera setting, not a phone setting. So all I'd say is make sure you know what the aim of your shoot is before you go on, because yes, you may be focusing on a product, but actually you might want the focus to be on the user of the product more than the product itself until the end of the video. So making sure that you've got that right is really important. So make sure you know what the aim is before you then plan out what's going to be in focus and what isn't, and then the different types of lenses that you're going to use for that shoot. So that is all about the letter F, which is focus, and I hope you enjoyed this A to Z videography, and I'll see you in another video.